John Hartt, thank you for joining me on Brite Cast today. Let's start off with you. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started, and we'll just let the conversation go.
Okay, we'll do that. I'm John Hartt. I'm a Manassas artist. I've been, I've been doing art for, I've been doing it all my life, but I kind of took that step and said, I am an artist about 7 years ago, and I've just been running with it since.
Awesome. So what'd you do before?
I was a graphic designer.
Okay.
I did web pages and all that shit. That
what I'm doing now?
You're doing, man. I'm so glad I'm not doing that.
Were you doing it for somebody else or freelance?
Yeah, I did freelance for a while, but I always did like these defense contractors, and I did it forever, and I did it. This is a good segue. I was kind of doing that commute inside the Beltway forever, and it was either Arlington or DC or even Fairfax is a freaking commute. Yeah. But and then maybe it was like 10 years ago, I got a job right here at the airport in Manassas, and I realized, holy crap, I have 3 hours extra in my day every day because I'm not on the train or on the car. Right. And I told myself, I'm going to paint for 3 hours every day.
That's awesome.
And I did.
That's awesome.
And I built up that, I don't know, that thing, that motor memory of like, you paint today, and you create today. Yeah. So that was such a good thing for me, doing that.
So you've been painting your whole life too?
Pretty much. I've always been drawing my silly characters. And, when the kids were little, you take more of a dad role, but I always did something creative.
Yeah, that's great. So did you learn in high school or before that, or are you just doing it on your own?
No, I'm pretty much self-taught. Yeah. I took some design courses at Nova. That's what got me into the graphic design field. And I love Nova. Shout out to Nova.
Yeah, I went there too.
Yeah, that's where you get a career, man. Yeah. So that's what
awesome.
I did.
That's awesome. So you have a very unique style. Is that evolved over time, or did it just kind of come to you during those 3 years of really committing yourself?
Yeah, it's kind of intentional, but it's kind of something that's grown out of itself, because we all have these artists or these people who do visuals that you're really drawn to. And, I liked my cartoons. I liked, all these surrealist guys. I liked all this weird horror comics and just stuff like that. And it just kind of coagulated into something I'm trying to say.
Okay. So what are you trying to say?
Don't ask me to articulate my art. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? And I keep saying this. I want my art to make people smile. That's my number one goal. And I have this mantra that I repeat all the time, which is do something wonderful today. And I try and live by that as much as possible. If I can get up and say, do something wonderful, even if it's just being nice to someone. Or, you know what I mean? It's so easy to just kind of fall in this pattern of not doing anything. So I just try and live by that.
Were you doing like your own creative stuff before that extra 3 hours a day, or was it just for corporate stuff?
Yeah, the work was work.
Yeah.
and you get into the graphic design field, the creative field, because you want to be a creative. But, when you're dealing with corporations, they say, I want a logo. I want my logo bigger. All this stuff that is just like, all right, just tell me which button to press. And that's what it got down to. Yeah,
especially in like government stuff where some VP is telling you how to do something and they have no idea about anything about art. That's got to just be soul sucking.
Yeah, it is after a while. Yeah. But
So for that 3 years, how long did it take till you started like making money from it?
I'm still asking that question. I think, what happened was I worked at that company at the airport for like 3 years. And then, a bigger company bought them out. I got laid off and I told myself, okay, all right, this is the time. If I don't do this art thing full time right now, now's my chance. I'm going to be on my deathbed just regretting it. And that's like been the best decision I ever made.
Then you had 8 hours a day.
No, I still have 3 hours a day because I'm doing all this other stuff.
Yeah. So in terms of your style, like how did, it's definitely a unique style. So, and it's not like other things that I've seen exactly. So how did you kind of niche down into that? Or is it just kind of what's naturally coming out of you?
I think it's just a learning process, and every time I sit down, I'm learning something every time. And that's not some BS. It's like I sit there, I'm like, even today, I learned, this is so stupid. I learned, okay, to get a little looser with this eyeball that I was painting, I could add some darkness to a certain part. And it just sounds so kind of dumb and technical, but that's what I learned today when I sat down before I came here.
Well, it's constant, ever evolving, if you're doing it every day. I am guilty. I used to, I still do play music, but it's harder to do while I'm, trying to build a business and stuff. But I read Stephen Pressfield's War of Art. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's essentially like, just sit down and do the work. Sit down and do it every day, and like the muse will come to you. Like, even if you don't have an idea, it's just the fact that you sat down and did it, and eventually you'll have something to work from, and you'll go from there. Like, and when I was doing that all the time, because I started working from home, and I had like 3 hours extra a day, so I just spent it working on music the entire time, and I was pumping out way more stuff, and it was just a good experience to have. I just need to get back to that place at some point, you know.
And I agree too. I was thinking, like, when I first started doing art, like, really like, I'm going to do some art and do a show. I was like, I could probably get one painting done a month. And that was my goal. And now in reality, I can freaking knock out 10 a month if I sit down 8 hours a day and good freaking paintings, finished paintings.
So how do you monetize it? I mean, I know you have your web store, but do you do gallery shows or anything like that?
I don't do gallery shows. I'm looking into it because I think that might be a thing. Online sales, I have not figured that out. I have an FC store. I just started a new store. I just don't know how to push people to that.
Right.
I haven't figured it out, but it's there. And I figure one of these days, if online selling on my level is a workable thing, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think doing, like we were talking before, doing the YouTube content and like getting like social media stuff, you start to get a following there, then that kind of pushes them towards the site to make purchases and stuff.
And I think I just need to be more intentional about selling my art. It's really nice to say, hey, look at this cool thing I did, and put it online. So everyone says, yeah, I love it. It's like, then I need to say, just come on, buy this, please.
Right. It's almost, Well, it's hard to be all things in something where if you're the creator, you got to be the salesman too. That's tough. And it kind of takes you out of that creative space as well. It can, I definitely think the social media thing is the easiest, not the easiest, but if you're already doing this stuff all the time and you're starting to film yourself all the time, eventually it's going to kick in.
It is. I keep hanging on to that too. And it is kicking in different areas.
Yeah. I mean, if you get one video that goes somewhat viral, people start to look at all the other ones. Yeah. And that could be another revenue source at some point as well. If you get enough followers, you get money from YouTube.
Yeah.
So are you going to do shorts on YouTube?
Yeah, we have the I'm working with a company called Fox and Anchor. They're doing all the production and, all the technical stuff. So that's totally out of my hands. So they're doing it, and we got the episodes, which are anywhere from 40 minutes to this last one. He's editing. He's like, dude, it's a 2.5 hours, and you know what? It's really good, and I don't know what to cut.
Yeah.
So, but we are taking those little chunks, those 30-minute, those 30-second and 60-second chunks, and putting them out there that are more digestible for people.
Yeah. Have you thought about? So he's going through and just like finding what he thinks is interesting, or you're telling him?
No, I'm kind of going through the raw footage and saying, I think this is good. And I'm just saying, timestamp when I'm talking about whatever I'm talking about.
Right. So what is like your creative process? Is it just sitting down and doing it, or do you have like a vision that you want?
No. And it's funny. I'll be teaching a class at the Art Factory in a couple of weeks, kind of, walking people through my creative process. And I kind of want to go back to what you said a few minutes ago about sitting down and doing that. That is the most important thing. Being creative doesn't mean sitting around thinking of good ideas.
Yeah.
Everyone has good ideas. Yeah. They're not creations until you act on them. So the sooner I act on something, I think the better. And it's just do it as soon as possible.
And I think a lot of people, they think that they're just going to have this aha moment. But until I put the guitar in my hands, occasionally I'll have this song that comes in my head when I'm falling asleep that, I'm thinking about writing. But most of the time, I just sit down and start playing something, and then, the ideas start to flow from that point. Yeah. So do you have like hey, I want to do like this something in blue, and you just kind of go.
Let's get back on that. Yeah. Kind of my creative process is most of the time, I don't go into a painting with any idea, except maybe I'm like, maybe I want a big blobby shape in the middle, and I'll go from that. And for me, it's kind of like looking at clouds. I'll really start throwing a lot of paint on the canvas really quickly, and I'm looking for things. And and I know how to draw, and I like to draw all sorts of weird things like eyeballs and skulls and aliens and eggplants and carrots and anthropomorphic everything.
Pizzas.
Yeah, so some of those come to me very easily.
Yeah.
But it's nice when you can see something that you haven't really addressed before. And that's really, really hard. And it's hard for me too. Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm trying to push in this class I'm doing at the Art Factory.
So what's the class about?
It's about just creative. Yeah. And I did it once before, and they said, "Oh, John, come do a demo." And I got there, it's like, can you teach a class instead? Because people want to leave. And I kind of went through it, and it clicked.
Yeah.
The whole format clicked. So I'm just going to do that again.
So do you have like an outline of what you're going to do? Or are you just
I am going in there blind. Yeah. I'm going in there blind.
I love that part of the artist, that you kind of trust your intuition in that regard.
Yeah. And that's it. You have to trust yourself. You have to, I hate sounding all frou-frou-y, but you got to trust that. How do I articulate this? You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe, I can do this. And when you, in your head, believe you can do it, and you can find that belief very easily, and it's hard for people to do that, but even if you don't have much experience or talent, if you start believing that you could do something, I believe in that so much. I don't know.
Well, so you said something interesting that kind of, I had another guest on that he's like, once you find your identity, so you call yourself a musician, you call yourself a painter, and you start to, your subconscious starts to believe it, and then you just start doing it, and the more you do it, the more it affirms that about you.
Yeah. And that was another big step in my journey. Is like, one day I said, I'm an artist, and I never said that. I always says, I like to paint, I like to draw, I like to be creative, but I never owned that title. And the minute I owned it, it's what it was. Yeah. I was an artist. I'm like, you don't have to make, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to claim you're an artist. You just have to be an artist and do it.
Right. I mean, a lot of famous painters never made any money until after they're dead.
Yeah. That's what people keep telling me.
Let's hope that's not you.
Yeah.
So how was it? How did you come up with the name Jortt? Is that like a nickname that people gave you growing up?
My name is John Hartt. I just squished it together and took out the middle pieces.
That easy.
And it was kind of a cool, silly name. And I thought of it like 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I know I'm going to use this sometime in my life. So I bought the URL.
Back then.
And I've had it, right when I started doing web design. I said, I'm going to use this. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I'm going to use it.
Well, by now it would be used by something if you didn't buy it back then. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's this company in the Netherlands that keeps wanting to buy it from me.
For how much?
They didn't ask. I didn't get to, I don't want to sell it.
Yeah, of course.
But they're like a Jortt financial computing or whatever. I don't know. Something.
Right. So how is it being an artist in Manassas? Is there a big scene, or are you kind of like helping build it?
I want to say I'm helping build it, but there's so many, I think, creative sub-communities. There's, the musicians, it all kind of this whole creative groups, they're kind of intertwined somehow and actually not aware of their other.
Yeah, when you're in a band, there's not much talking to painters.
I know.
And there should be some, Art Factory, I guess, does a good job of bringing those people together. But, even in the band, when I was in bands all the time, there's pockets of bands that only they know about each other. So you have rock bands versus, pop bands or whatever, and they don't commingle because they don't play shows together unless it's like a random festival or something like that. So in the Manassas scene, do you see it growing?
I do. I see there's because I do something so kind of out of bounds. It's not traditional, painting and stuff. I think it's kind of opened up a bunch of people to say, hey, I like this art stuff. Even, it's not like a doggy portrait. It's not like a really nice rendered anything. It's just something very different. And there's a lot of people who are doing their own different thing. And it's really exciting.
Yeah. I find a lot of people, they are creative, but they don't do that identity part of it, but they also just don't start. Right. So if you have to start, and you're probably going to suck. You may eventually be great, but you're probably going to suck in the beginning, and you'd probably even have moments of self-doubt where it's like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah, I just look at something I finished last week. I'm like, I'm just going to chuck this out. It didn't go where I wanted it to go.
Yeah, I mean, and that happens all the time, but just being okay with that. I mean, not every song I've written has been amazing, but some are better than others. But if you don't actually just get started and start doing it, then you're never going to get better.
And not only get started and do it, but do it over and over and over and over. You're done with something. Hey, this piece is really great. Wonderful. Let's move on. Let's forget about that and move on to something else.
Yeah, don't sit on it. And other thing too, how long does it take you? Do you have ones that you sit on for a while because it's not coming to you, or do you just keep going with it to make sure it gets finished?
I think when I sit on things, it's usually because it's a commission or something, and I'm trying to match someone's vibe, and that is, I think, a hard obstacle to get over, and I have to trust that the whoever I'm painting for just wants me to do my thing. So I have to get over that.
Right.
I'm not painting this piece for the client. I'm painting it for John Hartt.
All right.
And when I'm at that point, that's where I do my best work.
Right. And that's what they're wanting. Anyway.
That is, but it's hard. Sometimes,
but it's still pressure because you're making money from it and you want to do a great job.
Yeah, and you don't want someone. I still don't want someone to say, "This sucks," because my feelings will be hurt.
Yeah. So I saw, speaking of Manassas, I saw you did murals at Hayden Elementary School.
I did, and I've been doing the playgrounds at some of the county schools over the past years, and I'm just transitioning more to do inside murals just because a million reasons, but it's just kind of, the ones on the cement, they do not last.
Oh yeah.
There's so many variables in the mix. So I just want to kind of do the inside thing. And that was another thing. I did the mural at Hayden in their library, and I spoke to the librarian. I said, "Oh, I could do, a picture from this storybook or a picture from that storybook." She's like, "No, just do your own wild stuff." And I did, and it was so much fun.
Well, I mean, have you ever thought about doing a children's book or something?
Yeah, I have, and I kind of looked into it, and there's so many moving parts, and I don't really understand the publishing industry, and it was just too much to. Yeah. And I think that's
But they are very fun and playful, a lot of your characters.
I know. If I could figure out a way to do it without too much putting too much of my head.
Yeah, if you ever came across a publisher that was really liking your stuff, then let them run with it, as long as the deal is good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just did something for the local Chamber of Commerce. They did a Prince William Opoly, and Bob Sweeney at the Chamber said, "Hey, John, can you just kind of do some art for this?" And it was he's like, and again, the direction was just do whatever you want, just do your thing, and that was great direction. I got it done, and that was nice because I used a lot of my graphic design skills and my painting skills, and I really kind of it was super illustrative-y and whatever. But they're trying to hawk those boards now. It took them. They ordered the game. It took them, I think, a year and a half from it getting ordered.
Oh, wow.
To it being delivered, because I guess it was manufactured overseas. And
well, I saw the big pallet they had of all of them when I was over there a couple weeks ago. And
okay.
Just a huge pallet.
I know. He said he ordered 1,000 boxes. I said, holy crap, dude.
I mean, I think they'll move them.
I hope.
Yeah. So how do you, if you use the illustration, what is your process? You use Illustrator, I'm guessing?
I'm still paying that $60 a month for the
me too.
Creative Suite. That's the devil I know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, me too. So how, like, do you draw something? You have like a tablet that you draw on, or do you like print stuff or scan it?
Favorite program for doing sketching and drawing is Procreate on the iPad.
Okay, yeah.
$10 once, and I use it every day.
So you just import that into Illustrator once you're done?
Yeah, but I still don't do too much of that. Yeah, that was kind of a one-off thing.
Right. So what did you do at the chamber? It was just that Prince William Monopoly?
Yeah.
Did you do the whole design?
I did.
Nice.
It was nice because I had the chops from doing print design for my entire career, and it was second nature. And I'm like, I can do my art on top of it, and
so they just gave you like a template. I could have
done that years ago. As a graphic designer, I would have enjoyed
a lot more fun. Well, if they gave you full creative freedom and you weren't, doing some HR graphic design or something like that. Yeah. So how have you, for pricing, how have you managed that, and how do you do you do it per hours that you do, or how big the piece is?
Okay. That has so many facets, but it's I do murals and stuff, and there are certain prices, and I kind of rest on a daily rate for my murals, but the painting I kind of have a fuzzy hourly rate in my head. But basically what I've been doing the past year is when I'm done, I say this painting is this much, and I'll just put it in my spreadsheet in my inventory and say it's this much, and then it's that much forever. And I've been increasing my prices a lot lately because
it's your time, and
you can't live off of selling $300 paintings. You can't live off of selling $800 paintings.
Yeah. And you have to value your work, and the more popular you get, that price is just going to continue to increase.
Yeah.
And especially with volume too. I mean, if you could really pump out 10 a month,
I can.
At $1,600, then you're making decent cash, right?
Yeah.
So with the pricing, it's mainly just an hourly rate, or
it kind of is, but it's really, if I'm done, I say, holy shit, this is just perfect. I'll say, I'll give it an extra something, but I just want to have that price in my head when I'm done, and it's just kind of a mental thing for me. And
it's hard to quantify.
It is
art.
Yeah.
Because some things, it's not just your time, it's your energy, it's your vision, all that stuff, that's really hard to put a dollar sign on.
I'm exhausted after. No, when you sit down for 5 hours straight and you paint, and I do that a lot, it's exhausting, man.
Right.
But and no complaints at all. I will do that for the rest of my life if I can.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah. So how the typical painting takes few hours, or
it depends. That's one of my goals the past couple of years is teach myself how to paint as quick as I can, and it's starting to pay off.
With the same quality. Obviously.
Yeah, because I was traditionally an oil painter, which is cool. I get those cool smooth gradations and stuff in the paint, but it stays wet forever, and it's messy. And I do a lot of live painting, and it's just not conducive to a clean exit.
So what do you do instead?
So I'm doing acrylic, and I'm halfway between doing paintings totally in acrylic or doing the underpainting in acrylic and doing one over, final coat in oil. And I think that's where I'm at now.
Right. Okay. So what's your studio like? Just at your house?
Basement.
Yeah. Oh, it's not unlike here.
Yeah. The kids are adults now, so I have the whole house to myself.
Awesome.
And we have a ranch in Old Town, and the whole basement is the size of the house, and it's
nice.
Me.
That's a good.
It's me
space.
and the laundry room.
Well, at least you don't have an audio recording. What does that? Do you have that going when you're recording? You make sure the laundry is off.
That's on once in a while. I'm doing.
Who cares?
I do that.
It's life.
Yeah, I do that, and I'm okay when I'm doing these kind of things with interruptions.
Yeah,
and it kind of gives it its own little flavor.
Do you have music playing and stuff for inspiration, or?
I do that all the time, and I'm trying to figure that out too, because
copyright infringement on
Yeah,
videos.
because if I kind of want to set, load it somewhere, like YouTube's good about saying you can't do this because that music's playing in the background. But
so what's your favorite genre?
Everything. It depends on the day of the week. It's just everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You into rock and stuff?
Rock and blues and reggae and Age of Ruin. Daniel. Daniel is, I think, my best friend in Old Town. He's just like the most wonderful person I know.
That's awesome.
I think the world of him.
So how long have you been in Manassas?
I've been in Manassas for 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife taught at Osborne. She was a Latin teacher for 25 years, and then she went to work at their main office, and then she retired, and last year she went back part-time, and now she's the director of...
Education Council? Was that what it is?
Oh, I forget what it's called.
Oh, come on.
I'm thinking about it.
We'll cut this out and insert the...
I know. She helps raise funds for like scholarships and teacher grants.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And she's been really supportive
of... Education Foundation.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Let me do that. Clip it out.
Yeah.
My wife is the director of the Manassas Education Foundation.
Perfect. And she's been doing that for just last year?
About a year now, yeah. And it's perfect. It's halftime. She doesn't have to get out of bed until 9, and perfect. And that works for her.
Gives her something to be like. I think a lot of people in retirement, what are they going to do?
Yeah,
especially if they've been like,
and it's paying the bills. I mean,
yeah, that's great. And how's she been supportive of your journey?
She's the best. She's stuck with me, and she understands it's not going to be any other way.
She probably knew it was coming at some point.
She did. Yeah. She did, and I'm not easy to live with, so. I am very in love with my wife, and I've been very, very fortunate to have such a good marriage and a good family. So we've been really good.
And how long have you been married?
Over 25 years, because my daughter's 25 years, so maybe 27, something like that.
27. Yeah. That's great. How many kids do you have?
2. My daughter's getting married.
Oh, awesome.
This summer at Annaberg Manor.
Oh, cool.
Which is across the street from us, and then we're having the reception in the backyard. So we're kind of getting into crazy planning mode.
Yeah. We got married in Cancun, so we only had like 40 people. Are you gonna have a lot of people there?
I think Martha's list is 400.
Oh my God!
But I think.
Well, they'll have to take turns.
I don't know
if
she's
house.
Sent out. I just don't know. I don't know. Me and my wife are just like, okay, we'll do whatever we can to help.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite piece that you've done?
You know what? It's usually one of the latest pieces I've finished, because it's just like, I still have the excitement of finishing it and being excited about how cool it is. So it's like, I just finished one right before I came here. It's like a tiki dude, and it came out really good.
That's awesome.
So that's my favorite one. I named it too. Wait, I named not Chamber of Commerce. Checks and balances.
Checks and balances.
Yeah,
that's cool. So you're saying about your 400 people at the wedding potentially?
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll be. We're all kind of thinking it's going to be just around the 200 mark, which is still a lot.
Yeah, that's still a lot, especially if you're hosting it at your house.
But we're good about. We've always been good. We know how to throw a party.
Yeah. It's a good question. So, how do you deal with creative blocks, or do you even have them because you're doing it so much all the time?
I think back to I'm kind of in the habit of forcing myself to. Just be on a schedule, and I get blocks, and it's I don't know, but when I feel like, oh my God, I haven't painted in the past 2 days, it's like I just run down to the studio and get my fix. Yeah, that's like we went to the Portrait Museum in DC a few years ago. That's my favorite.
Yeah, it's great, and they had all these guys' journals and stuff, and what they did every day. And it was like, woke up at 6 a.m., fed the cat, had breakfast, started painting from this, and there was total schedule. Instead of, it's really hard. I always say, I'm going to play piano for 20 minutes a day, and then I go to sleep and it didn't happen. you know, but if you have a schedule and stick to it, then I think, you know, the stuff happens naturally. You can't not, if you're a writer and you sit down and you start writing, you're at least going to get something done, even if it's shit, even if it's terrible. So, I mean, that's basically how you do it?
Creating is not thinking about creating. Creating is sitting down and creating.
Yeah. And I think that's the big misconception. Also, like when people think that they're not creative, it's like, it's because you're not doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think people think, oh, you must have such a creative mind, and know what I get a lot too. Do you do shrooms? and I don't. I'm a pretty sober guy. I don't. But that's like the thing, and they think it's not about the thinking about things; it's about the doing. Mm-hmm. And do you know what I dream about?
What?
I don't dream about these wacky creatures I create. I dream. I swear to God, almost every night of just sitting down and painting. It's
really?
Like, it's so like in my being. I don't know what it is, but I guess like that I dream about.
Your spirit, for lack of a better term. Yeah.
And I dream about like the colors, the colors working well together, but it's just weird. So like every night I dream about painting.
That's awesome though. That's like, it's kind of like when you're a kid and you're playing Tetris, and then you dream about playing Tetris that night.
Yeah. Maybe that's it.
Because you played so much before. So do you, like how many sitting down times does it take to do the average painting? Is it just like one and done, or?
No, it's never one and done. It's really between, I want to say in a perfect world, it's like 2, but maybe 3 or 4.
Okay.
And if I'm going over 4, I'm like overthinking something.
Yeah.
I am.
And you just finish it?
I just finish it. And you know what? When I'm done with the painting, I usually say, okay, this is a B. It's 90% done. Because if I spent the other 10% to get it finished, it would take me probably 3 or 4 times longer.
Yeah, and like when I first met my wife and she started seeing me in the creative process, she didn't understand when I just said it's good enough. Mm-hmm. Because I know that if I try to change that snare sound or, you know, tweak the EQ, I could be doing this forever. The idea of it is done.
Yeah.
So just get it off, because there's something else waiting to be created. You know, like I miss being in that. So you're inspiring me to just freaking do it.
And do you know what? When you're done, you say, okay, this is 90% done. And you kind of put in your head, it's like, I could have done this, and that. And next time you sit down, you'll address the one of the thises or the that's.
Right. It's like having the portfolio is really kind of what you're just trying to build a body of work. Mm-hmm. And then it does, if you spend forever trying to get that 10%, first off, you're never going to get it. The best you're going to get is 95%, maybe 98%. So when you're just happy enough with it, then just, it's done. It's out of your spirit.
Right. That's good. That's how I feel. Exactly.
So is there some, like, as a result of your art, is there anything that surprised you about reactions from people or the support that you get or anything like that?
It's not, you know, I'm my biggest fan. I really am. I swear to God, I am. I'm my biggest fan, but it's so nice when, you know, people will say, oh, this is so nice, or this reminds me of this, or you inspire me. And it's like really heartfelt words. And it's like, oh, that's so good that, you know, what I'm doing for me is being embraced so much by other people.
Yeah.
And I think when I first started this, I didn't think as many people would be drawn to what I do as they are. I think I'm just surprised about that.
I think it's very unique, and it's awesome to have like someone as talented as you in Manassas, because usually you'd have to go to the city to find someone like that. You know, like it's not a common. I mean, I'm not saying there's not talented people around here, but because you're so proficient at it and like you make so much, it's been obvious. Like coming up over the last 5 years, you're everywhere.
Yeah, and I put myself out there.
Yeah.
That is a job in itself of saying, hey, look at me. Right. I did this.
So how do you do that? Just like being at commerce, like Chamber of Commerce events and, you know, networking stuff or
networking. And you know what?
Happy hours for Old Town Strong.
I've been a member of this community. I haven't just lived in Manassas. I've been a member of the community for 25 years. Yeah. I've been involved with churches and the Lions Club and, you know, just, you know, kids' school stuff. And you just know so many groups of people, and you just kind of, you're that guy, you know, you're that, you know, people know you from different parts of your life. So it's just natural for me to make my art part of the Manassas
Right.
thing. You know, maybe I could have figured out how to go into New York and something and find people with money, but I'm like, I don't fucking do that.
No, you want to create.
Yeah.
And if there's financial stuff to come from it, then obviously that's great.
Yeah.
It's coming. So what do you think, like, your mental state of mind moving into being an artist full time and not having like a W-2, how has that affected your happiness or lack of happiness or anything?
It's bipolar.
Okay.
it's like just figuring out how to pay the bills with this.
Yeah.
It's such a challenge. It's just, I'm doing this thing. I'm doing this thing that no one else is doing. Am I selling prints? Am I selling originals? Am I selling rights? I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
And then I always pay the mortgage somehow, but it's so much stress. But on the other hand, it's like, I've never been happier in my life.
That's amazing.
Just like I'm feeling so mentally free. And part of it's because my kids are moved out of the house and it's just
they're
me and
getting
my
their
wife.
own jobs and stuff.
Yeah, and they're not our responsibility anymore. So it's so nice to have, it's just me and Carol and whatever we want to do.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I don't think a lot of people ever get the opportunity that you have right now either. A lot of people they work until they retire and then they go die in Florida.
Yeah. A friend of mine just moved to Florida. He just retired to Florida. I'm like, oh my God, how are you going to do that? I could never go to a retirement community.
Oh, I couldn't do that. But I could live on the beach somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you play any music or anything? Have you ever played?
No, I've always been, my wife's a drummer. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So all her bands always practice at our house. So it's nice being around live music. And like I'm not a musician. I'm like one of those kids who just didn't have the patience to learn. I was just like, I want to, whatever. But I'm like always at Sinistral, and I love just sitting in front of live music.
Yeah.
And like I'll do live painting at Sinistral on Thursdays most of the time.
Oh, cool.
And it's such a good vibe there. But when people are playing their music, they're putting themselves out there.
Yeah. You're doing the same thing.
Yeah, but I feel like a vampire. Like I'm I'm like taking their creativity and using it for myself.
Like energy vampire?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's cool though. Yeah. So you finish the painting while they're playing?
I get it mostly done.
Yeah.
It's just hard to finish a painting in like 3 or 4 hours, especially when I want to get to a certain level of doneness.
But it's cool to see people like just having like a creative space. The people do that at comedy shows and stuff now too. That like they paint what's happening on the stage and stuff. It's just a cool way to be productive. So what's your proudest moment, or what are you most proud of from this journey?
I guess in terms of projects, I did 2 years ago. I did something called Something Wonderful. Okay. And they were these 8-foot paintings, and I think there were 15 of them, and they were out around the Harris Pavilion all summer. And
oh yeah, I saw those.
Yeah. And then that went to DC afterwards. It's in Herndon now, and I'm looking for a new home for them. I'm just not looking very hard. I need to kind of put them somewhere else. So I just got to find someone to say, "Hey, I want to put your pieces in my park or in front of my store or something."
Right.
So
somewhere that gets a lot of traffic and Well, I haven't seen, other than people that's done a couple murals, I don't think anyone's done anything like that I've seen in Manassas.
No, and that was such a great project. It was like, it started with my friend Corey. He said, he came up to my house with a piece of plywood, says, "Paint a Bigfoot on this. I want to put this in my yard." And I did it, and I'm like, bing! I'm like, I could paint all sorts of giant 8-foot creatures, and I just started doing it. I started like, as soon as that little light bulb went over my head, I was like, I went out and bought some plywood and started painting.
That's awesome.
These things, and it was a ton of work, and I had to use like a Kickstarter to kind of get it funded, and it was really involved.
So how did they stand up?
I just put them on signposts and banged signposts in the ground.
What kind of creatures were they?
Tiki men. It was just a little bit of everything. Okay. Tiki men, and let's see, robot, Bigfoot, all kind of little weird.
Are there ones that you have in mind that you haven't painted?
Yeah, I started one with a giant crab, and I'm like doing a lot of different things now.
Well, your style is unique, so you can kind of take that into any animal or magical creature or something like that.
Yeah, because I've been painting like a lot of like rubber duckies, and I think that would go well on one of these things.
Yeah, that would be cool. And so with that, they're just showcasing it.
Yeah, they're out. They've been on their yard in their property for like 8 months now, and I was supposed to take them down like in December, but they're there, and I haven't really found a new home, and we're all good together.
If our HOA would let us, I'd put one out front.
I know.
That'd be cool, just having them around various places that, I know a couple people in Old Town Manassas that don't have HOAs.
I know. Well, I don't. I have one right in my front yard. I have 2 in my front yard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have a Bigfoot.
That's how I know how to find your house?
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about just doing that, asking my neighbors, hey, can you just put this in your front yard? I'm sure bunch of them would say, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Chrissy and AJ would do it.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. If you want to ever put something here while I have a podcast, if you have something you're trying to sell, just hang it up behind during a podcast. I'm happy to bring it over.
Okay. All right, Mr. Graphic Designer. I'm going to send you a picture.
Okay. So, in terms of like monetizing, do you sell prints? Do you sell like merch and stuff like that?
I do. I have a lot of merch, and I've been doing the farmers market off and on since I started, and I didn't do it last year, but I'm starting to do it like every other week, just because it's the farmers market, and you just have to be in front of people.
Right.
I believe that more than
anything else. When you're very personable too, so they're seeing the person behind the paintings, and it's not just a painting sitting on a wall somewhere. Where's the farmers market now? Did they move it?
Across from Osborne.
Oh, they moved it there. It used to be like at the pavilion before.
They do that on Thursdays, but it's been at over across from Osborne for like 4 or 5 years now. Yeah. The Saturday one.
Right. So what do you do for fun other than painting?
We play cards a lot. Carol's parents are still alive, so we play bridge all the time.
Okay,
our family's big bridge players. So.
I just learned rummy like last week.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Rummy's fun too.
Rummy's fun. I haven't played bridge though, so I have to add that to the list.
Yeah. That takes a little bit of learning. It's just not as straightforward. There's a lot of kind of bidding and other stuff and counting cards and stuff, but it's good. Cards is our family thing, I think.
They live with you guys, or they live close by?
No, Josh, my son, he's doing law school at Mason, so he's in Arlington, and I think he might have another year left of that.
Oh, wow.
We don't see him during the year.
So have you ever like collaborated with anyone before?
No, and that's like... I kind of want to do that.
And what does that look like?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can... Because I like going to like the live music things and painting with art, the musicians, and I've even approached some musicians about collaborating on some level, but I don't even know, like, I don't know what that would look like.
Right, yeah, I don't maybe album covers.
Yeah,
Could
or
be
maybe
cool.
a light show or something.
Yeah.
Or just building, that's something I want to do. I have all these projects, and I want to get bigger and bigger.
Okay.
I want to do something like a space and just have it so freaking weird that people are forced to like just explore the space nonstop. And I don't know what that looks like either, but
like one of the art tech house sort of
something
things?
like that. Yeah. And not necessarily a light show, but something so curious.
Immersive.
Yeah. Immersive. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. So does your art like appeal to kids you see more than adults, or is it like bring the child out of the adult a little bit?
It's really a little bit of everyone, because like moms a lot like that, or moms, I guess.
It is. I mean, it's very playful. I can see how people think it's a little bit psychedelic, for sure.
Yeah. Well, when I paint, everything I paint is just a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
And
that's what my wife likes about it too.
Yeah. And the creepiness comes naturally. And a lot of times it's like the initial start is super creepy. So I pull that back very intentionally sometimes.
Okay.
So if the creepiness is kind of overpowering the playfulness, I'll try and really push the playfulness or something.
Where do you think that comes from? Do you like horror movies and stuff like that?
Hell yeah!
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I loved all that stuff, and I loved all those like growing up Mad Magazine and all those gross 12-year-old things. I love that stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of a marriage of that sort of stuff too.
It is. Like it's probably all the things I love.
Yeah.
Just kind of squished together.
We started horror horror talk with it's my wife and Beth Breen, and then me. I'm just kind of the tech guy, but just like reviewing horror movies because we already have this space, so we're just going to start doing that. So if you want to come over and watch a movie sometime and review it, then you're more than welcome.
Maybe, maybe. Who loves horror movies is Breezy.
Oh well, she's going to be a guest too.
Yeah, sure. And she's good.
She's cutting my hair in a couple hours.
I know. I'm getting mine tomorrow at 5, right before First Friday.
So do you have like a daily process? I mean, you say you paint for 3 hours a day, but is it like I wake up at this time and I do this and I do this and I do this? Or,
no, I'm not as organized as I really.
Or you just make sure to get the time in.
Yeah, I really find myself painting more like after dinner time. Just I think because that's when I started. Yeah, painting 3 hours a day.
Right.
Was like when I got home from work at 5:15 instead of 7 o'clock.
Yeah. So that kind of like you just kind of set in that where it.
Yeah, but it's just so much stuff to do, and I hate that. So much of my stuff is like looking at an email.
Yeah.
All this dumb stuff. It's like you have to do it, but
right.
Whatever.
Just like stuff for who's buying what, or you're going to be somewhere, or that's scheduling. Maybe you can get to the point of having a admin person.
No, my wife helps. We just went through the whole summer schedule just this morning, and it was
nice.
Good to kind of articulate what's going on.
Yeah. So on a standard day, it's just usually in the afternoon, evening, early evening.
Yeah, it just depends what I'm working on, and so much of this stuff, like I'm putting together a brochure now, just. Okay. For school murals, just because I need to push that for this summer.
Well, that would be great too. Yeah. And how do you find those people? You just got to get in touch with the superintendent or find some teachers.
Email the principal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hope they respond.
And they do.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I did at Hayden. I just called her up. I said, hey, I want to do a mural in this school. She's like, yeah, right away, we want you to do it too. Come on, let's do it. And I started painting like 7 days later, and there was like...
How long did that take?
It was 3 days.
Oh, 3 days?
Yeah, we had... Because I kind of pre-painted one on a big canvas, and they mounted it on the wall. But the other two... one day the first day I had such good help. I have a few people who help me with murals, and...
Oh, nice.
This one girl's the best. She just comes in and does it perfect.
Nice.
And...
So do you draw it out first, and then that's how they know where to do it in scale.
Like this, I sketched it out. It said, "Okay," I said, "I'm going in this direction." So.
So where did you grow up before Manassas? Like, what led you to Manassas? It's such a different place.
This is the history of John Hartt.
Yeah, well, it's for people to get to know you.
I know. I grew up in Long Island.
I thought I noticed a little bit of an accent there.
And I had to get the hell out of town because I was either going to wind up in jail or something. So I joined the Navy, and that
nice.
Getting my ass straightened out pretty good.
Did you deploy?
Yes, I did. I was stationed my first 2 years at Naval Security Station in D.C., and I love D.C., and that's why I came back to this area. Yeah. And then I was on a ship for a while, and that was fun too.
Anywhere cool?
Over just the Caribbean and
nice.
And England and stuff. It was fun. It was especially when you're like in your early 20s, man.
Oh yeah, early 20s, single, get to explore the world a little bit. Yeah, that's great. So how long did you go? 4 years?
Just 4 years, yeah. And then I moved back. I moved to the DC area and just kind of.
Did you do college after that, or just Nova?
I did Nova. Yeah,
that's cool.
That took me like 6 years to finish that. While working.
Yeah, well, graphic design too. Like it evolved significantly over the past 25 years. And what you can do, and it's crazy.
When I learned back in my day, when I learned. They were teaching us ruling pens and just, putting ink on paper, drawing a straight line on paper.
Wow, that's crazy.
But that was like right when the Mac came out, and I started using McDraw and all those other oldie time programs.
Right.
So I was like on the first wave of doing graphic design on the computer.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. And so how did you get into Illustrator? Just from Nova, or it came afterwards?
No, it was just, those are the tools we used in the trade. So.
Yeah. So with the Procreate stuff, I have a couple friends that their kids use it. Like, how is it so much easier than other programs?
Dude, it's like you get your stylus, and it's just like you're treating the thing I like it is, number one, every sketch I have is saved somewhere.
Yeah.
When I do it there.
Yeah.
Number two, you can draw. I like to draw like individual things, and then you can save them like on Illustrator in levels, and just kind of piece something together, and it's just it just makes when you're doing a composition, it's like it helps you better realize what it should look like.
Right, and easy to like scale things. And,
scale
and it's all vector too, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and you can get like the brushes you use are like pencil and turpentine and just kind of cool brushes that, react the way I like them to react.
So have you done any other, like, do you do drawing stuff, like charcoal or any of that sort of stuff? Just stick to painting?
No.
Yeah. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
No, it's like I like playing with I like experimenting, but I don't know reason to use charcoal.
So for those bigger things you were going to do you have like a vision of what they're going to become?
Usually right before I start, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big are they going to be?
Probably 8 foot tall.
Nice.
I'm probably going to do a couple more. I just got to find, like I said, a new home.
Right. A new place to do them.
Because I sold a bunch, and I had 3 of them. When I first started, I used the wrong material. I used this exterior plywood, but it wasn't, it wasn't what I thought it would be, and it kind of fell apart.
Right.
But I'm using this better material, this MDO plywood, and it's acting the way I want it to.
That's good.
Yeah.
So where do you see like the future of of Jortt? Where do you see that going? Or have you thought about an alter ego? That's a different name too.
No, I just want to keep painting, and it's very selfish. It's just like of course I want to make a bunch of money, and I just want to be successful, but I just want to paint.
Well, I think success it's not linked to money. Success is the doing it every day.
Yeah.
Right. And then, the money will follow in time. It's like the more, like when I first saw a couple of your paintings, I think was at Man Cave.
Yeah.
I was like, who's that guy? He's local? What?
Yeah.
And then I started seeing them more and more around. Like, like, have you thought about going outside of Manassas to start?
I am. In the past couple of years, I'm getting some touch points in Warrenton, in Loudoun County, in over the Herndon area, and DC. I'm really being intentional about being present at these places, and it's hard.
Right,
it's hard because I think I've worked Manassas pretty good, and I want to. Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to keep that. This is my home. This is my base, my headquarters, and this is where. This is where I live. This is my community. Yeah. But I want to be present in these other places.
What are you doing to be present there?
I do a lot of live painting, so I'll show up to events, and I'll just paint. I'm in some art show in Arlington now, and I'm supposed to be doing some painting there. It's just a lot of kind of stuff like that, going to events and getting shows, and I haven't organized any shows for this summer, and I'm like looking. I'm like, I got to. It's
coming up soon.
I got to do something really quick. Yeah.
Yeah. What about those big, like in Herndon, where they have the big lawn where they have bands like every weekend? You thought about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll see if I can figure it out for you.
Yeah. I just want someone to say, hey, somebody out there in Instagram land, help me find a place for something wonderful.
Right. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Links right down there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's cool. Like, do you have what advice would you give to someone that wants to be creative or wants to be a painter or, anything artistic?
Don't doubt yourself. Embrace it 100%. Oh God, I hate saying this. It's so artsy, but just suffer a little bit for whatever you do. You have it can't be easy, and it's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy. It's just But if that's what you want to do, just
that's the only
give
way
as much as you can to whatever your passion is. So.
What made you choose the 3 hours a day? Just because you didn't have to?
Because that was
anymore?
The amount of time I was sitting in traffic.
Wow.
So and I said I'm going to devote that time to this, and now it's just so easy to sit down and paint for whatever length of time.
That's amazing. Do you have any colors that you like to do? Everything's pretty bright that you have.
It is,
even though you say there's some gloom and scariness in there, they still end up nice and bright and colorful.
Every painting, I swear to God, I'm experimenting with colors. I'm seeing how this color works next to this color and what this color is saying in terms of whatever the subject of the painting is, and okay, how can I make this more dramatic or whatever? And it's a learning experience, and I'm still have so much to learn about color, and it's really exciting.
That's fun. So is there something you're trying to say when you finish a piece, or when it starts to come out of the painting? Is there some sort of emotion that you're trying to invoke?
Not an emotion. I think what I want to do most is to leave the viewer asking questions. You know, why is that eyeball coming out of a palm tree? Or why is that creature over there looking at that creature with that peculiar look? And when the people start seeing these weird things, because they'll notice, like, that's kind of odd. That's kind of odd.
Yeah.
They're making up a story. So I'm trying to be as vague as possible so people can interpret it in whatever way works for them.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I definitely they're characters for sure. I could see a cartoon or something. You know, like definitely, especially like the single eyes. What made you choose the one-eyed thing? Is that just kind of what happens, or just because it's weird?
I think the first time I really started doing that was I painted a bunch of vegetables. I painted a carrot, I painted an ear of corn, and I painted a leek on these tall, skinny canvases, and basically it just seemed one eye fit better than two eyes. So and it kind of had a good vibe. So I kind of worked with that a lot.
It's cute and creepy at the same time. Yeah, that's like, you know, Cyclops vegetables. Like it's definitely strange.
Yeah.
Is there a particular type of canvas that you like, a size that you go for, or you just kind of like try to vary it up?
Do you know what I'm doing now? I'm painting on plywood. That material I said I did for something wonderful. I'm just cutting them down into like 2 foot by 2 foot pieces, and you know, painting things out, and then taking the jigsaw halfway through the painting and cutting the outline so it has an irregular shape. Okay, and it has such a good vibe, and kind of.
So that becomes the character, sort of a thing, or it just becomes whatever.
Yeah. If I see like these major shapes, like today I cut something out. I painted a tiki man kind of prancing around with an alien, but it was just those two. And so what I did was I just drew a bunch of circles in the background and then trimmed it out. And it's hard to articulate, but trimmed it out like that. I don't know what those circles are going to be, but that'll be part of the creative process next time I get to
How does the paint stick to plywood? It sticks really well?
It's just paint. It's like house paint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like the plywood with like the flat, like?
Yeah, this is called MDO. It has a very high plastic content, and it's designed for like outdoor signs, so it just doesn't warp. It's like perfect.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And it cuts so nice with the jigsaw.
Yeah. Do you have like a nice shop too at your place? Or just a jigsaw?
I just go out in the driveway and cut things up.
I mean, that'd be nice to have like a bandsaw or something. So how big is that piece that with the tiki guy?
It's like 2 foot by 2 foot.
Okay. Yeah. How would people mount that?
It doesn't have a frame.
Right.
And
would you use like bolts or something like that?
Yeah, I just screw a wire in the back, and just like you do a canvas.
Yeah. So you're getting away from canvas just to be a little more creative?
Yeah, I kind of like it, and I kind of like the vibe, and I'm thinking I think my next move might be like getting layers of plywood and creating like scenes with different layers. So I think
that would get some depth.
I've done that a couple of times, but not really. So I'm gonna play with that a little.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Have you thought about painting on anything else, or is that like just the next move?
No, nothing. I've always painted on weird shit, like my wife's drum heads.
Oh, that's cool.
Drums, yeah, and just different things you find laying around.
And what's her band name? Her band's name?
One Waypoint. She's been with forever. They play occasionally, and she's playing with another band now called Undercover.
That's cool.
And she's doing something these 2 weeks at Warrenton Community Theater, Jersey Boys. She's playing in the pit. So
cool.
She's keeping very busy with her drumming.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's really a female drummer. I don't know many around here. I mean, maybe one or two over the years, but just...
Yeah, guys.
Get on it.
I married the female drummer. There you go.
I mean, and to have... That's probably a part of the reason that she's... Obviously, she loves you, but she's creative too. right? So it's easier to allow the other person to be passionate.
She plays more by the rules than I do, and I think I kind of need that a little bit.
That's good. So maybe just tell people where they can find you, unless you have something else you want to cover.
No, you can find me at jortt.com. Mm-hmm. You can find me at Jortt on Instagram, and you can find me on Jortt Art on Facebook.
Awesome.
Or you could just come to my house and find me in my studio painting.
You'll see the big lawn characters.
Yeah, most of you guys know where I live.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, that's good.
Thanks, brother.